the governor of the state of Illinois. So I understand that these agencies are my responsibility. My appointments to lead those agencies are my responsibility.
That's Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday after I asked him if he's going to take responsibility for the LaSalle COVID-19 outbreak that killed 36 veterans. This, of course, is coming from another report about that November 2020 outbreak. And the first report we had was an inspector general report from a different state agency that the governor ordered. But then we had the House had to actually come in and nearly unanimously pass a resolution to order the Illinois Auditor General to now do an investigation. That was a year ago. Yesterday, that investigation and that audit became public. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. And we're going to, of course, unpack some of the audit, what the findings were. But the top line is that the Pritzker administration did not respond to the seriousness of the LaSalle Veterans Home COVID-19 outbreak in November of 2020. Despite spending $1.1 million in the lead up to that outbreak on PPE, infrastructure, testing, and so on. Altogether, they've spent about $4 million roughly on COVID-19 protocols for the LaSalle Veterans Home. But in the months up to that November 2020 outbreak, $1.1 million spent. So, you know, the governor yesterday at a separate event, he was signing a bill about extending pension buyouts, and he took a moment to talk about Fitch giving Illinois 2-notch upgrade, and they are saying that that's now the 5th credit upgrade, which it's just one upgrade update, but it did go up 2 notches, and that's on top of 3 other upgrades that have happened. But he stopped and took a moment to talk about that. But then yesterday, he also had to address something else that was dominating the news, because right as he was taking the podium, the Illinois Auditor General released that audit that the House had to order of a full and encompassing audit of the LaSalle Veterans Home COVID-19 outbreak. Because remember, the governor ordered the Department of Human Services Office of Inspector General to review not the entirety of the situation, just the Department of Veterans Affairs actions in the COVID-19 outbreak, not the Department of Public Health, not the Pritzker administration office, but just the IDVA. So the Inspector General report that came out last year focused on just the IDVA, not IDPH. And some people were critical of that report when that came out last year. So the Auditor General tasked with looking at the entirety, including IDPH, IDVA, and the governor's office. So here's the governor, not being prompted by any questions yet, talking about the situation with the audit being released by the Illinois Auditor General.
In November of 2020, in a number of communities around our state, we were fighting an uphill battle to stop the spread of COVID. We were at the dawn of the worst surge to date, and you may remember this is before we had vaccines. We were working against Republican elected officials who told people to defy mitigation efforts. We told people that they needed to follow those mitigations, but Republicans told them that they need not wear masks. They told people that they didn't need to get vaccinated. They told people that COVID wasn't serious. Those lies put people's lives at risk, especially the most vulnerable, even as my team and I worked 18 hours a day for 9 months straight to fight them. There are people who were telling their leaders, who were telling people not to wear masks, not to follow the mitigations. You think that helped during the middle of the worst part of the pandemic? And that was the worst part of the pandemic. You know, all the people who represented the area, the Republicans in general, you heard many of them, and some of them are still saying it even now, that you didn't need to wear a mask. Don't worry about it. Some of them aren't even vaccinated or have chosen to tell other people they don't need to get vaccinated. That we were fighting all of that and the pandemic.
The lack of accountability and transparency by this administration is absolutely astounding.
This is State Senator Sue Rezin.
Especially after we had this Auditor General's report, which they took a year to compile. The Auditor General and his team went through, I would say, over 35,000 documents. They did an actual timeline of what transpired during the outbreak. And the fact that the governor instead says, you know what, we could have done better, continues to blame the Republicans, to me is just, tells you about where this administration is. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. And at the end of the day, we have 30% of our veterans die at the veterans home because of this outbreak that could have been managed much better by the Department of Public Health.
Well, look, I'm the governor of the state of Illinois, so I understand that these agencies are my responsibility. My appointments to lead those agencies are my responsibility. The policies and procedures are done by the agency themselves. The management of the individuals who work at a particular veterans home are handled by people at those homes. And so we wanted to make sure there's no way that you can see across 50,000+ people in your government as governor exactly what everybody's doing. That's why we focused this effort on finding out what had happened at the agency.
This is an example of complete and utter failure at the level of the governor and his deputy governor, who ignored what was going on at the LaSalle Veterans Home and waited over 12 days before they did an on-site visit to allow them to see exactly what was going on in the home and enact recommendations from that visit to slow the outbreak of the COVID spread.
Again, that's just some of what we heard yesterday from Governor J.B. Pritzker and Republican State Senator Sue Rezin. And I'd asked the governor, what good is it to blame Republicans who weren't part of your government? And he continued to say, they talked about not having to wear masks or talking, about COVID-19 in certain ways. And I asked for specific names, but he couldn't. He did not want to say those names. Just said the Republicans in general. Republicans are going to hold a news conference today to talk more about this. Darren Bailey and several other state lawmakers from downstate, they were in Chicago yesterday. They held a news conference blasting this. Republican gubernatorial candidate Jesse Sullivan said that there should be a criminal investigation into this. And really, I think you gotta reflect back what happened 4 years ago when Governor Bruce Rauner at that time was being heavily criticized for the Legionnaire's disease outbreak. And coming back from the break, I'll share audio of then candidate J.B. Pritzker criticizing then Governor Bruce Rauner for a similar outbreak that was a totally different circumstance. So we'll get to that coming up, and of course your phone calls at 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number for you to chime in here live and local on Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Let's take a look at Springfield's dependable 5-day forecast with a high of 57 today. It's going to be cloudy with a possibility of some scattered showers. That lingers tonight. Hopefully it clears out, though, with a low of around 47. You got the street party with the Fat Ass 5K, and tomorrow the race is at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll wake up with sunny skies, the high of 68. Sunday, Mother's Day, partly sunny with a high of 70. It's going to be gusty at times, and then Monday, back to work, warming up to a high of 84 with mostly sunny skies, and Tuesday, sunshine, the high near 90. Right now, 52 degrees at 719. It's from Culver's West on Wabash.
Butterburgers and fresh frozen custard, handcrafted for you daily at Culver's West on Wabash.
Time to spruce up your home. Come in at Noonan True Value for all your spring projects. I'm Matt Noonan IV. How about a fresh coat of paint in the living room, family room, kitchen, bathroom, or any room? Bring in a sample and we'll match your color or choose from hundreds and hundreds of color options. For all your paint and supplies, come in at Noonan True Value. Celebrating 75 years as the best hardware stores in Springfield, period.
We know our way around your house at Noonan True Value.
My name is Aliana. So I chose to start working at CBD Botanicals because it's just a really nice, down-to-earth environment. It's really relaxing. We're all really helpful and want to better everyone's experience here. We're not here to judge. There's no stupid questions. It's something new. It's something that we haven't really been told a lot about. So I just love how everyone here is willing to answer any kind of questions you have. We'll do the research. We'll look it up. We will try our hardest to further educate ourselves so that we can better educate all of our clients. clients too as well. We have a wide assortment of products here that cater to anyone's preference. We've got gummies, we've got oils that go under your tongue, we even have inhalants. We also have topicals, and we've got energy drinks and seltzers too as well. CBD Botanicals, come see us. We're located on Cokie Mill Road in the Fresenius building by Walgreens.
Enjoy timeless hits on AM 970 and 102.5 The Lake, and stay up to date with Springfield's news and talk on 92.7 WMAY.
In 2015, Black Lives Matter chanted,
Pigs in a blanket! Burn like bacon!
In March 2021, Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin wrote, I support Black Lives Matter strongly and passionately. In July 2020, Black Lives Matter rioters did this to Chicago police in Grant Park.
Police said the PVC pipe used to hold the Black Lives Matter banners had been sharpened and were taken out and used to jab at officers.
In March 2021, Richard Irvin wrote, I support Black Lives Matter strongly and passionately. In August 2020, Black Lives Matter Chicago organizer Ariel Atkins said,
I don't care if somebody decides to loot a Gucci or a Nike.
In March 2021, Richard Irvin wrote, I support Black Lives Matter strongly and passionately. For years, Black Lives Matter promoted looting our cities and deconstructing the nuclear family. Yet Richard Irvin bragged, I support Black Lives Matter strongly and passionately. And Richard Irvin wants to be your Republican candidate for governor? Only in Illinois. Tell Richard Irvin you won't support a Republican who supports Black Lives Matter. Vote no on Richard Irvin. Paid for by people who play by the rules pack.
Our patients deserve the best care. You deserve the best employer. Join the nursing team at Memorial Health. We offer a variety of opportunities, from our expanding clinical support pool and new support RN positions to operating room, emergency, intensive care, and inpatient specialties. Our nursing positions offer flexible shift links, weekend-only programs, pay premiums based on shift and clinical area, and sign-on bonuses of up to $15,000. It's a new era at Memorial Health. Be a part of our next chapter. Apply today at jobs.memorial.health. Memorial is an equal opportunity employer.
YMCA of Springfield Kids Triathlon is all about building on the cool factor inside every kid. Kids ages 5 to 14 will get the opportunity to swim, bike, and run to the finish line. A wonderful way to start their summer healthy and happy. The Kids Triathlon is Saturday, June 4th at the Carasotas branch. To participate, all children must pass safety checks and requirements. Please visit our website for those details. Register at either YMCA location or online at springfieldymca.org.
When an intruder invades your home, life can change in an instant. When Barcom Security sees a problem at your place, they react in seconds, not minutes. If your security system can't do that, it's time to contact Barcom Security. Quick reactions save lives. Barcom Security, protecting homes and businesses successfully for almost 50 years. Contact the Springfield office of Barcom Security for a free estimate and have a secure day.
The WMAY Daily Poll is sponsored by Adams Pest Control for commercial, residential, real estate inspections, and termite control. Cast your vote with the WMAY mobile app or at WMAY.com/poll.
And today's poll question is, which candidates are you supporting in the June Republican primary for governor? Darren Bailey, Richard Irvin, Gary Rabine, Paul Schimpf, Max Sullivan, or Jesse Sullivan? And of all those choices right now, we've got an interesting mix here. And you can change the direction of this poll by going to WMAY.com/poll. And right now, 53% of you that have taken the poll say Jesse Sullivan's your choice. 20% going to Bailey, 13% to Sullivan, 6% to Paul Schimpf, and about 6% to Richard Irvin. Gary Rabine doesn't have any at this moment, but you can change that at going to WMAY.com/poll or on the WMAY mobile app.
Springfield's Morning News with Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY.
Talking about this audit report from the Illinois Auditor General that ultimately says that the Pritzker administration did not respond to the seriousness of the COVID-19 outbreak at the LaSalle Veterans Home. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this, especially if we now reflect back 4 years ago to when J.B. Pritzker was just a candidate for governor, and it was months after a Legionnaire outbreak at a Quincy Veterans Home under then-Governor Bruce Rauner's administration. I think 17 veterans there died, and I remember covering all of this in the hearings that were happening. The Democrats went after Rauner hard. They held hearing after hearing after hearing, passing legislation after legislation, highlighting this around every few weeks, getting getting reports out and having public hearings with Rauner administration officials having to testify. Fast forward to now and COVID-19 and the LaSalle Veterans Home outbreak with 36 residents there dying, hundreds sickened, both staff and patients. And it took, according to the audit that was released yesterday, it took the Pritzker administration 12 days, despite being told daily that they needed assistance from the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, the Illinois Department of Public Health. It took 12 days to actually show up. IDVA notified IDPH on November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 9th, 10th, 12th, and 13th that they had regular updates on increased caseloads and whatnot. But let's flash back to 2018. This was a debate on ABC 7 out of Chicago between then Governor Bruce Rauner and then candidate J.B. Pritzker. Here's how some of that went down with the questions about the then Quincy Veterans Home. LaSalle, the Quincy Veterans Home Legionnaires' disease outbreak.
Mr. Pritzker, as tragic as these veterans' deaths were, how does the delay in reporting it a few days put the blame on Governor Rauner? And the Illinois GOP is now saying that this is a partisan investigation by a Democrat attorney general. Should someone else handle this investigation?
Well, this was a cover-up all along. Remember that Governor Rauner knew about this. His administration knew about it. Days went by without notifying people. People got sick as a result of that. But remember, 3 years also went by before the governor acted to do something to protect these veterans. Now, my father was a Navy veteran, my grandfather a Navy veteran. I believe that we need to stand up for those who defend our nation. And the way to do that is to make sure that they're safe, and especially when they're under the care of the governor and the government of the state of Illinois. That didn't happen under Governor Rauner. He failed. For 3 years, he failed to protect them. 14 people died after the first death. 13 other people died, family members of the veterans and the veterans themselves. It's just wrong. 70 people got sick. We need to stand up for those veterans, and he's failed to do that.
So again, Governor J.B. Pritzker, when he was a candidate during a debate, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, 217-629-7970. You're going to hear a lot more about this. Republicans are holding a news conference later today where I imagine they're going to be highlighting some of the more horrifying things out of this Auditor General report. And I think one of the questions there that the ABC 7 out of Chicago moderator, Craig Wall, asked was about an attorney general investigation of then Governor Bruce Rauner. Should there be an attorney general investigation of Governor J.B. Pritzker in his handling of this? Because you have at least the Republican candidates for governor leaning into this, and even Jesse Sullivan saying that there needs to be a criminal investigation for criminal neglect of the handling of the Quincy Veterans Home COVID-19 outbreak. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning. Well, there's that old saying, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I mean, I would totally agree with him whenever he was hammering Pritzker, and I totally agree that, his feet should be held to the fire for what's happened under his watch. It's
yeah, and you got to think about too with the Legionnaires' disease outbreak. That was from old pipes that ultimately allowed for this bacteria to develop, and then it gets into aerosolized showers, and then all of a sudden it is breathed in, and it becomes a problem and spreads rapidly. And that happened at Quincy and a few other places under Bruce Rauner, and he worked to try to get investment and whatnot to replace those pipes and to get new water supplies for these areas. But with COVID-19, we knew shortly after the beginning of March who were the most vulnerable, and it was the long-term care residents. It was the elderly population. We knew that.
Exactly.
And even months afterwards, because March is when the lockdowns happen, and then by April we kind of knew what was going on, and by summer things were opening back up more and more slowly, even though the governor extended his stay-at-home order. And then you have this heightened awareness and making sure that we actually have the focus on long-term care facilities. But come November, what happened? You had an incredible outbreak, and when it was recognized there was an outbreak, it still took nearly 2 weeks for Governor Pritzker to address it with his Illinois Department of Public Health. 217-629-7970. We'll get one last call here before the break. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning, Greg. Yeah, it's pretty ironic that Pritzker's out there blaming Republicans when he basically ruled as one man over the whole COVID thing and, seemed to be able to have the power to do whatever he wanted and whenever he wanted. I mean, I don't think Republicans were telling the people at those homes not to wear masks and all of that. And by the way, I think we now know why Dr. Ezike got out of IDPH.
Well, we'll see if more comes out about that. It's going to take maybe some Freedom of Information Act requests and more. So I imagine we're not done hearing about this, especially, sadly, it being an election year. And obviously this is going to be used for political purposes. Appreciate everybody taking part in the conversation here on Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. Get a hold of me, bishoponair@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search out Bishop on Air.